Hello, everyone. Welcome to the All Season 365 podcast, sponsored by Dynasty Athletic Performance and powered by NC Football Connections. If you like any of my videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Spotify, follow us on X, but most importantly, tell your friends about it. Our ultimate goal here is to reach as many high school coaches as possible. Today, we have a special guest. We have Coach Buck, assistant head coach and special teams coordinator at Sequim High School in Sequim, Washington. Coach Buck, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Man, I'm well, man. Thank you for hopping on. Before we before we hop into today's feature topic about special teams, always one of my favorite segments. Give our listeners a quick snapshot about your coaching up until this point.
So I'm the son of a coach. I grew up, my dad was coaching high school football starting when I was about 4 or 5, and so I was one of those little kids that was on the field and watching him run things, and that's what made me kind of fall in love with it. His players kind of treated me like one of the guys, and I had a little custom jersey made, so that's kind of what made me fall in love with high school football. So I just loved watching him coach, and growing up, I would go and I would make scouting reports and say, here's tendencies, here's what they're doing, and I just knew that's what I wanted to do, and so I got hired pretty early. And I've been with Sequim my entire career, on and off, for about 15 years. But I really focus on special teams. Special teams is my passion, and I feel like it's a very important part of the game, but it doesn't always get as much love as the offense and defense. So I try to do what I can to show that special team some love and see if we can start changing games and winning games. So I've been coaching specialists for 14, 15 years, and then the last couple of years I've been special teams coordinator and just got promoted to assistant head coach. So trying to move my way up and, get after it, man.
Well, congratulations on your promotion. What some people might not know is Coach Harbaugh, the head football coach at the Baltimore Ravens, earned his bones as a special teams coordinator. So it was very much possible. And I've served as a special teams coordinator before, and I will say that coaching special teams, you learn about all phases of the game. You're dealing with multiple personnel. You're dealing with all the athletes on the field. And the ultimate goal is to keep everything as organized as possible, because if one player goes down, that can pretty much torpedo 3 of your teams. So
yeah. Very much so.
Yeah, absolutely. And then lastly, you never want to burn a timeout on special teams. And
No.
It's crazy because there's so many moving parts. And you'll think that most head coaches will give special teams a little bit of grace, but man, it's a lot going on, man. So kudos to you for taking it so serious, So let's go ahead and get to it. Special teams. Now let's touch on philosophy and approach. What are your core beliefs about the importance of special teams in winning football games?
So I think special teams are so important because, it's not like it's offense or defense where you have multiple plays to have a chance, right? So I heard this at a Glazier clinic this year, and I'm going to use it, going forward. Special teams are a one-play possession. So you're either going to win that possession or you're going to lose that possession. And that's where you need to create that mindset of, okay, this is do or die. We got to go out there and we have to execute. So I've always been a firm believer in trying to create excitement on our special teams. And how we do that up here is I try to model our special teams after special forces military personnel. These guys are the ones that it's the gritty jobs. Not everybody always wants to do it, but it's the type of stuff that wins you the war. So, I model each unit after special teams units. So like our kickoff are the Marine Raiders. And the Marine Raiders' actual mission statement says they're going to win the war before it starts. So it's kind of fitting. Our return team is SEAL Team 6 because, we want that 6. Our punt team is the bomb squad. And then I call our field goal unit the Army Rangers. So I just try to get that excitement for these kids and just tell them like, hey, you guys are the 1%ers of this game. We have the ability to go out here on this one play possession. And if we steal a possession or if we put 3 points up on the board, we're doing stuff that statistically not a lot of other high schools can do. So trying to create that elite mindset for them and kind of get them excited about it, because as long as your unit buys in, you're half the battle's won. Like they're going to be excited. And I try to make it to where special teams is the most fun they're going to have in the game. And I feel like that's where you really get the ball rolling. And then you just get to the point where, you get to that entire mindset of your whole unit going, okay, we got one play to do this. And we're either going to set up our offense, we're going to set up our defense, or we're going to put points on the board. And no matter what we're doing, we're putting ourselves in a position to win the game. So just trying to create that elite mindset and get the guys excited.
Yeah, nicely stated. And something that I always enjoyed on special teams is lining up the pump block team. Yeah, absolutely. But a few years ago, we used to always go after every kick, and anytime that our players saw this right there, we called it block party. That means we're going all out and we're going to try to get one. For some reason, the linebackers love getting on those teams, running backs too, and the return guys. It's very helpful there too, because more often than not, if the punt team is trying to block everybody, more often than not, the return guy is going to have a lot of grass if they don't get it. So great idea of setting up the teams and organizing, but most importantly, getting the enthusiasm up. So how do you prioritize special teams development and performance within the team's overall strategy? I mean, how much time do you get for special teams on a typical day?
Every day we get 20 minutes.
Okay.
And I feel like that's pretty good. I'm really excited about that. I have been a part of some teams in the past where I only got like a little bit here and there, but 20 minutes a day has allowed me to break it down into segments and I honestly try to model my special teams practices after what I've seen at the University of Washington. Like I'll go watch their practices and watch them, how they set up their stations and try and treat it that way so that we're getting the most that we can out of it. Our guys are getting their reps. I don't want a bunch of standing around. We only have 20 minutes. So, and the nice thing about that is it kind of plays into, this is all we have. And it's the same thing as your one play possession. So we need you to execute so that come Friday, we're pulling this off, because as you know, games are not won on Friday. They're won Monday through Thursday.
Yes.
So, practice reps are everything. And I think I said practice like a game rep 5,000 times last year. So just trying to get them in the mindset of that's your championships are won during practice. They're not won on the field, and getting them into that mindset of, okay, this is our 20 minutes to shine. And then, going back to just a little bit of philosophy too, but I'm trying to get to the point with my younger players where I say special teams is where you can show the coaching staff what you can do. And if you're an older player, special teams is what you can show colleges how versatile you are. So this is a unit where you can showcase yourself no matter if you're a freshman through senior, and trying to get them to know that like it's not a play to take off, it's a play to take on.
You brought up a good point. Special teams is so important, and if, like you said, if you want to show and prove something to your positional coach, you prove to your positional coach that you can handle special teams. I mean, the reality is that you must be a very good athlete to play special teams, because you're running around, you're running horizontally, you're running vertically. Yeah. You have to be able to redirect. You have to be able to play in space. There's a lot of things that you must be able to do to be very good on special teams. And like you said, in college, the reality is more often than not, as a skill player, you're not going to play at your primary position off the bat. That's just not going to happen. But if you earn your keep on special teams, and then you make the bus, right, on special teams, and if you start on 3 special teams, more often than not, you're going to be in the 2 deep, and that is how you get onto the field. So if there's any young players listening or any prospects listening, buy into special teams, because at the end of the day, if you want to get on the bus, special teams can very well be the path to get on the bus.
I actually saw a college coach on X yesterday that posted exactly kind of those words. He basically said, if you want to play in college, do not act like you're going to come here and play your position. You will be playing special teams and you will earn your stripes. And it's like, okay, well, it's exactly what we're trying to do here, is show them like, this is where you show what your worth is. This is what you show the coaches what you can do. And it's huge to be able to go on there and do that. So, and I think it helps create some of the fun too.
Yeah, absolutely. And lastly, on special teams, it's one of the rare places where one-way players, offensively and defensively, can play together, and there's no issue. Now I know that there's some programs where you have to play both sides of the ball, but bigger programs where you only play one side, this is a great opportunity for them to play with
Yeah,
a different color jersey. So which brings
definitely.
me to my next point. How do you evaluate players for special team roles? And how do you develop their specific skills? Like back in the day, for example, on the kickoff return team, used to have linemen up there. Well, when I went to college, I learned real quick that Coach Vernon Hargrave, who came to ECU from Miami, he wanted his best athletes up front. He wanted linebackers. He wanted running backs. He
Yep.
wanted safeties on the front wall. How do
Yeah.
you evaluate it on the high school rink to move these pieces around?
So that's actually the kind of the same mindset that I try to put in is that very rare am I going to have a big boy out there. It's going to be a lot of my skill guys. And my thing with special teams is if everybody does their role right, our returner is going to have some grass. And so
Yes.
what we need then is we need guys who can move in open space and use leverage. And so leverage is a big thing for us, and knowing how to use it. And so, like my front line, I typically try to do like the inside guys as like, inside linebacker body types, that kind of thing. And then, the two tackles out there, they can be more of like outside backer, tight end, that kind of thing like that. The two ends that are behind them on the next line, same thing, kind of outside backer, tight end type. And then the up backs and the returners are all skills guys. And I just want speed. I want the hole to open up quick, and I want to hit that alley. And we did a really good job of setting it up last year. I think we started on average at probably the 40 almost every time. And so it's just a matter of getting those guys in open space and practice and see who can hold their block and who can use the leverage. And one thing I'm going to do this year is I'm going to do a win-loss sheet practice. So I want to try and create a competitive,
Wow.
culture to where, we're doing this drill, coverage guy versus return guy, and it's a win-loss. So, and that's how we're going to look at this and go, okay, well, Johnny's 4-0 on this drill, but Jack is, 2-3. So we're going to move some guys around and see who can start, who who wants it. So,
Wow. Love it.
I just kind of get that, compete mindset going.
Love it. Love it. And that way, players are not allowed to take it off. I mean, let's
Yeah.
call it for what it is. Sometimes players get out there and they said, okay, special teams. But by charting their progression, guess what?
Yeah.
You have something tangible to show. Hey, listen, little Johnny is starting. Why? Because on Monday, he beat you out. Tuesday, he beat you out. And on Wednesday, he beat you out. So why shouldn't he be there on Friday?
Yeah, exactly. And then that's my thought behind that too, is, even for the kids that, that aren't out there, they can look at that and go, okay, this is where I need to improve. I'm getting a good job, getting by the blocker, but on blocking, I need to be able to get to my spot, get my leverage, drive him out, and show that I can block. And so then, we get that mindset going, and definitely, like you talked about, I don't want to play off. I want guys who want to be out there and get that mean streak going on, and I'm going to drive your ass 15 yards out of the way so that my returner can run by me, and we're all a part of that. All 11 guys are a part of that 6. So, I just think that's super important to set that up. But I'm definitely a big proponent of having skills guys out there. And then even on kickoff too, like I had all skills guys on kickoff, and trying to teach them, hey, like this is the fly zone. We're just do not get hit, please. Just get into the strike zone. We're going to 2-gap it, and we're going to take this guy down. We're going to swarm him and take him down. And so just kind of using that mindset.
So we all know. I mean, hey, some years are better than others. Some years you have all the prototypical bodies you need for your punt block, your kickoff, and for all your teams. How do you handle the challenge of integrating players with different skill sets into your special teams unit? So let's say, for example, you don't have that one year. What are a few things you must do to move pieces around so that your unit is still successful despite not having those prototypical body types on various teams?
So I think what we try to lean on when we have stuff like that, like we had a couple holes last year that we had to fill where we didn't have like the specific guy that we wanted. And so then I try to look at more drill work than anything else, because if I go to
Nice.
drills, then we're going all the way down to the nuts and bolts of it of technique. And if I want you to, if you can master that, then we can work on how you get to that point and just kind of starting at ground zero, going to the next step and just saying, okay, so if I need you to block this guy, this is how you make your drop. This is where you get your hands in. I need you to drive him this way for this return, this way for that return. And then showing him the nuts and bolts of it and teaching him developmentally first and then baby stepping it out. And it seems to work for us. We've got a good special teams group. Luckily, we were pretty young last year, and so like we were a very sophomore heavy team, and so having that youth will, I think, pay dividends this next year.
So it sounds to me like anytime that you're weaker in an area, instead of blowing it all up, you guys put an emphasis on the development piece, like slowing it down, doubling down on the development piece to make it as simple as possible, so that your kids can be successful in their own way.
Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. Let's talk about game specific strategies, and feel free to share as much as you like, or not like, completely up to you. But how do you approach game planning for special teams, considering opponent strategies and specific needs for your team?
So I'm such a special teams nerd. I kind of know, like, in our league, what team does what their
Okay,
tendencies are, and I feel like that's just because, once you get into this game and everything, you can kind of learn that stuff. Um, if I'm going into a specific game and I know what they do, like I know, as an example, one of our league opponents, I know how they line up their return and they leave a weakness for us. I'm such a kicking game nerd that I can take my kick team. Hey, this is where the ball's going to be. You know where it's going to be. They don't. So use that to your advantage and go get the ball. And if you don't get the ball, then just take them down. Like, just get the tackle. So um, I'm a very aggressive coach when it comes to like kickoff, as an example. I'm not one of those guys that's going to kick it deep every time. I'm going to kick it all over the board. I
with
don't want a couple.
squibs,
Yep.
pooches.
I don't want tendencies. I want you to wonder what the heck I'm going to do. So we're all over the board, and it could be 12 yards. It could be into the end zone. We don't know what's coming. It's just, we're going to call something that if we see a weakness, that's how we're going to handle it. I am in the middle of developing a kind of a signal system for my guys. And so that if, we send them out and then we look at the return team and we see a different weakness, we can change it on the fly and just say, hey,
Nice,
we're changing it up. This is what we're doing instead. And then that way we
nice.
know we're not hooting and hollering about what to do. And so that's where it gets kind of fun for me, is because I want to be that coach that steals possessions and then we're starting to, on the 40 instead of way back there. So try to be aggressive on that. I'm also a firm believer in kicking field goals. I've always had the pleasure of, having good kickers, because I love the kicking game so much and I can coach it. So, and that's one thing that I try to tell our offense is our goal is to end a drive with a kick, whether
Mm.
that's an extra point or a field goal. I don't care. No matter what, we want to end with 3 or 7. So try and get that mindset for them of that confidence, knowing, hey, as long as we get the ball into this range, we're scoring points flat out. And so then it gives them that kind of that air of confidence going, okay, we got this. We're going to be fine.
Yeah, nicely stated. What is your preferred method for analyzing game film to identify areas for improvement in special teams? What is your evaluation process like? Are you looking at every single player, every single team? Like, how do you break down giving your players feedback from the night before?
I think I lost you there for a second there.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So how do you evaluate the performance of your special teams the day after the game? What does your system look like? Your process look like?
So I'm one of those guys that I usually can't sleep after a game. So I go
Understand.
home and I'm insomniac. So I start diving into film and I'll go through everything. I'll go through all of our units, and at first I kind of just watch it from a broad perspective to see if anything stands out. And then I honestly take the time to watch positions and go, okay, did he make the right step here? Did we get the right leverage? Did Johnny stay in his lane here, or did he crash? And so things like that. But I start with the broad view, and then I work my way in and go, okay, where specifically can we improve, or what were we doing well? Like what? Because I'm definitely a coach where even if there's something to improve on, I always try to give a positive with it. So like if you say, hey, Johnny, like we really need to keep the leverage here. I like how you got out into the acceleration, but we need to, and then that way it's not all a negative thing. I try to just spin it to where that's something they have something to feel good about, while also going, okay, next time I need to get back in my lane and then attack. So,
I like that.
Yeah, I'm usually try to do that Friday night just because I can't sleep anyway. So,
Like that. Yeah, that's that sandwich. Yeah, I mean that's the sandwich approach. That's what I call it. You lead off with something that's good, address something that's not good, and then followed up with something good.
yep,
Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about being intentional with your feedback.
yeah,
And gone are the days of just, my opinion, undressing the player all the time,
yeah,
but not giving them the information that they need to improve. Like, and effort. Now, obviously, if the effort is not there, I mean that's a problem, right? But more often than not, if they're on special teams, they will give you effort. You just
yeah.
got to figure out the technical piece.
Sure, and that's something that we tell our guys too, is that effort is graded, and effort in all great effort at practice. So
Yes.
like I have my clipboard at practice, and if I see somebody taking plays off, then I write it down just for future reference. Say, hey, so when he comes to me and goes, hey, coach, how come I'm not out there on Friday? Well, on Tuesday and Wednesday when we're doing special teams, I've got 10 of the guys that are sprinting when you're jogging, and it's like, you have the ability to do it. That's why I chose you to be out here.
Yes.
But we got to still want it, even if it's practice, because then we're trying to get them back into that mindset of we're winning our rivalry games and our league title games on Monday through Thursday, not on Friday. So, and just trying to get them to understand that, we're here because we care, and in building that relationship and telling them that, like, bringing them back in and saying, hey, like, you need to do this. This is, special teams. This is just as important as offense or defense. So, just trying to get them to understand that.
You always have a chance when you win two of the three phases, and if you win all three phases, everybody's going to be happy. But special teams is so unique to the
Them and say, hey, is there any questions you have about what we're doing here? And then I have meetings with coaches and say, okay, on kickoff, I'm going to cover the kicker and these two guys. And then I break it down to where everybody's helping somehow. And so like on kick return, I've got my running backs and receivers coaches with the up backs and returners. I'm taking care of the ends. I've got our O-line coaches running the front line. And just so that way everybody's on the same page. And by having that special teams packet that I give them in the off season, they also know like what terminology I like to use, what phrases. So that way it's all unified. They're not getting different messages from other coaches. It's everybody's on the same page, because I'm a firm believer in that kids can pick up when coaches are not on the same page.
Yes, they can.
And whether they say that or not, they know. And I like having that uniform, philosophy and coaching, so that the whole high school is, well, wow, these guys, I mean, they really spent their time to learn this together, and it gives us a lot more credibility, I think.
Absolutely. Remaining on the same page is so important. So important, so important. Even if you have a disagreement behind closed doors, as long as
Yes.
when everyone leaves the room, everybody's on the same page.
Yep.
That's just what it is.
Yep.
But before I let you go, Coach, what piece of advice would you give any coach looking to improve as a special teams coordinator? Again, you're passionate about it. I love that. But there's a lot of other special team coaches that's looking for some feedback. What piece of advice would you give any special team coach looking to improve?
Attention to detail is everything in special teams. And going forward, if I would have gone back and told myself 10 years ago the one play possession thing, I think I'd be a much better coach than I am now. And I wish I would have, had that mindset early on. So that's what I would say is attention to detail and just coach as if you were coaching a one play possession, because that mindset changes everything. If you go out on offense and you have one play, it's a whole different game. Same thing with defense. So taking that mindset into it, paying attention to the details, and then, just loving on your kickers. Give them some love, man. They need it because they're going to be hero or zero. So, give them some love.
Very true statement, man. If they make it, woohoo, yes, that's what
Yeah.
they're supposed to do. But if they miss it, oh man, they're terrible. Come on, man. So
Yeah.
show your love, show your kickers some love,
Yeah.
man. So
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, thank you for listening to the Off Season 365 podcast. I'm Coach Simmons with Coach Buck. Man, we signing off.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.